The United Kingdom was once the preeminent global superpower, its empire stretching across continents and oceans. The phrase, "the sun never sets on the British Empire," symbolized Britain's unrivaled reach and influence. For centuries, Britain shaped world affairs through its political, military, and economic dominance. Yet today, the UK no longer commands the same global power it once did. Understanding the causes behind this decline, the multifaceted challenges Britain now faces, and exploring pathways for recovery requires us to delve into historical, economic, political, and social factors in depth. Britain's decline as a global power began in earnest after World War II, but its roots extend further back. The immense toll of the two world wars drained Britain's financial reserves, devastated infrastructure, and exhausted its human capital. The war effort required borrowing vast sums, pushing Britain into debt and dependency on the United States. The American economy surged during and after the war, cementing the United States as the world's foremost power, while Britain struggled to rebuild. One key event symbolizing Britain's waning power was the 1956 Suez Crisis. Britain, France, and Israel launched a military intervention in Egypt to regain control of the Suez Canal, a crucial artery for trade and oil transport. However, the United States and Soviet Union exerted overwhelming diplomatic and economic pressure, forcing Britain to withdraw. This humiliating episode revealed Britain's diminished ability to act independently on the global stage and highlighted its reliance on American support. The collapse of the British Empire was another major factor. In the decades following World War II, Britain faced mounting nationalist movements within its colonies demanding independence. India's independence in 1947 marked a turning point. Over the following years, countries in Africa, the Caribbean, and Asia achieved self-rule, often through turbulent political struggles. The dismantling of the empire meant Britain lost not only vast territories but also access to cheap resources and captive markets that had fueled its economy. Economically, Britain struggled to adapt to post-imperial realities. The Industrial Revolution, which had propelled Britain to the forefront of global manufacturing, began to lose steam. By the mid-20th century, many British industries such as coal mining, shipbuilding, steel, and textiles were outdated, inefficient, and unable to compete with newer, more innovative economies like Germany, Japan, and later China. This industrial decline contributed to chronic economic stagnation, especially during the 1970s when the country faced a combination of slow growth, high inflation, and frequent labor strikes. Britain's decision to join the European Economic Community in 1973 was motivated partly by economic necessity. The hope was that integration into a larger European market would reinvigorate trade and industry. However, Britain's relationship with Europe was always ambivalent, characterized by political tensions and skepticism toward deeper integration. This ambivalence culminated in the 2016 Brexit referendum, where a majority of voters chose to leave the European Union. Brexit underscored divisions within British society about national identity, sovereignty, and economic priorities, while also leading to economic uncertainty and political turbulence. Internally, the UK faces significant political and social challenges. The Scottish independence movement has gained momentum, driven by dissatisfaction with Westminster governance and conflicting views on EU membership. Northern Ireland remains a fragile and politically sensitive region, especially in light of the post-Brexit arrangements that complicate the border with the Republic of Ireland. These regional tensions threaten the political cohesion of the United Kingdom itself. Socially, Britain has experienced growing inequality and regional disparities. While London and the Southeast flourish as a global financial hub, many other regions struggle with poverty, unemployment, and lack of opportunities. The decline of traditional industries and globalization's uneven benefits have created pockets of economic hardship, fueling political polarization and a sense of disenfranchisement. Another pressing issue is the UK's economic competitiveness. Despite strengths in finance, education, and technology, productivity growth remains sluggish compared to other advanced economies. Post-Brexit trade disruptions and labor shortages have complicated the business environment. The COVID-19 pandemic further exposed vulnerabilities in healthcare systems, social safety nets, and supply chains, highlighting areas in need of reform. Climate change presents both a challenge and an opportunity. The UK government has committed to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050, aiming to lead in green technologies and sustainable development. However, transitioning away from fossil fuels requires massive investment, infrastructure upgrades, and social adaptation, particularly in regions dependent on coal and heavy industry. Addressing these multifaceted problems requires a comprehensive strategy. Politically, the UK must engage constructively with its constituent nations to address demands for greater autonomy or independence. Meaningful dialogue and decentralization can help maintain unity while respecting regional identities. Strengthening democratic institutions and increasing transparency will help restore public trust. Economically, the UK needs to invest heavily in innovation, education, and infrastructure, boosting research and development, supporting emerging industries such as artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and biotechnology, and fostering skills development can improve productivity and competitiveness. Tackling regional inequalities through targeted funding and devolved governance will promote balanced growth. Rebuilding strong international partnerships is essential for restoring Britain's global influence. While Brexit represents a break from the EU, the UK must seek robust trade agreements and diplomatic ties with the European Union, the United States, the Commonwealth, and emerging markets. Active participation in multilateral organizations and global initiatives can help amplify the UK's voice on the world stage. Social cohesion must be nurtured by addressing inequality and fostering inclusive communities. Expanding access to quality healthcare, affordable housing, and education will improve living standards and reduce polarization. Promoting cultural dialogue and integration is vital in a diverse society. Climate commitments should be matched with practical policies supporting green jobs, energy efficiency, and sustainable urban planning. Transitioning workers from declining industries into new sectors with training and support can mitigate social impacts. In summary, the UK's loss of power results from historical shifts. The aftermath of global wars, decolonization, economic transformations, and political realignments. Today's challenges are complex but not insurmountable. By embracing innovation, reforming governance, addressing social disparities, and pursuing a coherent international strategy, the UK can redefine its role and regain influence in the 21st century. While Britain's imperial era is behind it, the nation's traditions of democracy, rule of law, entrepreneurship, and cultural dynamism remain powerful assets. The coming decades will test Britain's ability to adapt, unify, and lead anew. With thoughtful policy and collective resolve, the UK can craft a future that honors its past while meeting the demands of an interconnected, rapidly evolving world.